Well, once again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you putting aside the time and investing in your health and well-being. So, what we're going to cover today is going beyond burnout. And I think for me, it's just putting burnout in context. We often talk about it a lot and we just associate, I guess, a bit of fatigue with burnout. I think it's a bit like a lot of terms. We tend to overuse it. So what I want you to do is, well, what I'm all about is simplifying it and helping you better manage your energy. And I think that is what this session's all about, is more of that energy management and doing the things that you love doing and embracing life to its fullest in doing that. And so I'm going to reveal my three secrets to burnout. Obviously, you could Google this and a lot of information comes up around burnout. But I want to share my insights in terms of what I've learned through university, what I've learned through further studies, what I've learned through working with my clients. And so it's a real bundle of information. What I've learned from my own personal experience, what I've done is really summarize that in this presentation today. So there's a few here that have never met me, and I would, I feel that I need to introduce myself to those that haven't met me. So my background, well, I started out in chemical engineering, so I was in the corporate world. I did a good 15 years, solid years in the corporate world, and I found that, as much as I had enthusiasm for the work I was doing, it wasn't fulfilling me. And so I went back and thought about what fulfills me, what really spins my wheels, what lights me up. And I really connected with something in childhood. And it was the fact that as a kid, I was so invested in my health. I was obsessed with my health. I can remember dieting at the age of like year three. So I was like 9 years old and I'm dieting and all these other kids are eating whatever, right? And so I was really obsessed. So I've been dieting since 9 years old. I'm now, close to 50. So I've spent a good part of my life, a good 40 years or more, really fine-tuning nutrition. I've embraced exercise. I've exercised all my life. I've embraced different forms of exercise. And obviously going through the decades, I've realized that what works in one decade doesn't necessarily work in the next decade. And this is what frustrates a lot of my clients, is that they're saying, look, I'm working out every day of the week and I'm eating well, but I'm gaining weight. It just doesn't make sense. And it's because our body is constantly transforming as we age. And the transformation is just what it is. And it's really embracing the transformation, which is a lot of what this talk about is today. What happens with life is that we get attached. We get attached to an old form of life and the good old days, right? We refer to it as the good old days. And we want to relive the good old days, and we're constantly, I guess, stuck in the past. And what we're not doing is living the present. And we have the fullest amount of energy in the present. So what I've done over my health journey is I've continued to educate myself. I'm just going to check if there's no one else that's just joined. So I've continued to constantly educate myself on health because obviously I've encountered problems as I've gone along the decades as well. And I've had to change things in order to overcome them. And so this is me today. These photos are me today, and I'm embracing what I preach in essence. I'm a living example of what I'm sharing today. So there's nothing I'm sharing today that I haven't done myself or I haven't encountered or I haven't had to overcome. And so a lot of what I'm sharing is how I've overcome challenges in relation to fatigue, challenges in relation to feel like I'm, going nowhere, like I'm spinning my wheels and just stuck, and so I've encountered all these challenges and I've come up with tools and resources to get through them. And still, I'm encountered with challenges, and that's what life is all about, is constantly being challenged by the environment and the people around us, and it enables us to grow as individuals. So this is probably a bit of a snapshot in terms of what I'm eating today. You could sort of look at that and think, I don't know if that's all that healthy. Health is a very subjective topic. It's very individualized, and what is healthy to one person doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy to someone else. So what's working for me doesn't necessarily mean it will all work for you. There'll be elements of what I'm sharing that you try that will resonate and that will, I guess, give you energy and help you embrace life. But there'll be some things that just don't connect with you because they're not you and I'm not you. So I'm just sharing what works in terms of the scientific evidence, what works in terms of my personal journey, what's worked from my client's perspective. And so I'm sharing, I guess, a multitude of information that I'm condensed into this session today. So I'm very much in this. So what I share coming up will be pretty much very much what I've realized that really works. And I'm loving it just because I've found the sweet spot. Now, in terms of understanding what burnout is, it's really important that we define the topic. And burnout isn't just something like you wake up and you're a bit fatigued and you're feeling a bit tired. That's not burnout. Burnt out is a chronic issue. So chronic means it's prolonged over a long period of time. So it's not just one day, it's not just 1 week, it's not just 2 weeks. It's you feel this way for months, years, right? So it's that complete depleted feeling, physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, and you're struggling. And it's happening every day, just about. You're feeling this way every day. So it's a real chronic issue. What I'm sharing today is even if you're not in this chronic state, the information I'm sharing will prevent you from getting into this chronic state of exhaustion and not having energy to enjoy life and embrace life. Like if you look at these statistics, you can see it's affecting a lot of, I guess, our loved ones, the people around us, our colleagues. It's really prolific. Like, look at this, 75% of individuals are experiencing some of the forms of, the symptoms of burnout on a regular basis. And then from a work perspective, like 60% of employees feeling this emotional drainage, that they're just really struggling. They're stuck. And so it's not uncommon. I had a big response rate to this masterclass today. Not everyone can make it, but it is an intriguing topic that people want information on. So what are the 3 secrets? If you I Googled this and I was doing, the chat GPT and doing all the searches and research. And a lot of what comes up is mindfulness, right? And yes, that's an element that will help you to be more mindful, to stay present. But what can happen is that we can be present during the form of mindfulness, but then all of a sudden we stop our meditation or our mindfulness activity, and then we just get hit by something with life, and all of a sudden we're frazzled again, right? And so it doesn't really help us stay in this, we'll constantly be able to come back to presence. Obviously, mindfulness is a practice and we need to do it on a regular basis. And the more we do it, the more mindful we can get. But if we are stuck in the past, like I mentioned before, and thinking, oh, I wish my life was like it was, or I'm stuck in the future, I'm wishing it could be better and I wish for all these things to happen, then we're constantly either fast forwarded in the future or we're trying to relive the past. And that's where our energy goes, but it's not doing us anything in this present point to move us forward. It's just gone to the future or the past. And so we've got to work out what's happening in our mind that's pulling us either to the past or to the future. And we can regain control of our mind through some tools that, if we have time, I'll share when I was looking up the research, they're talking about nutrition. And yes, you can make better food choices, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to drag you out of the feeling of stuckness. the feeling of I'm not moving anywhere, I'm not advancing, I'm not living the life I want to live. And so, yes, there is an element of nutrition will help, but it's not the be end and end all. Same with exercise. Often people that are experiencing burnout just don't have the energy to move their body. They don't have the energy to get out of bed. And so, just telling someone, oh, you need to get out and exercise, someone that's experiencing burnout will just look at them and think, I can't. I'm struggling to get out of bed each day. I'm struggling to go to work. Then people will say, you just need to rest more. And you're thinking, no, I get heaps of rest. I probably get too much rest because I've got no energy to do anything. I'm stagnant. Like I feel like I have no energy. I'm a couch potato, and it's not a rest issue. So what is it? What is happening? What is happening to us in this state of exhaustion? I'm just going to go to the chat because I just noticed a few questions come in, and I don't want to get too far ahead. And if you're not understanding, okay, so yes, I've got some questions. So the question is, the first question is, when you were dieting, when you were young, was it better? Was it to better improve your health, or was it due to external pressure? Oh, good question. Good questions. It was purely in my self-interest to improve my health, and that's been my focus because I was a very sick kid. And so as a very sick young kid, I just wanted to be healthy like my friends and play and be able to play. And as a sick kid, I couldn't play with my friends. And so I had this massive desire from an early age to be healthy and to stay healthy. And I've still got that fixation today. And so I'm always looking for these 1% improvements to what I do, but certainly nothing external. There was never an external pressure. It was always a drive from within to resolve my own health issues at the time and to stay on top of them. So yes, I understand, people are under a lot of pressure these days or feel pressure because of the way they look and they feel that they need to do something about it. And often, that drives a lot of this dieting culture. Yeah, so I was purely doing it to improve my health. And the next question is, can you give us a few examples of symptoms of burnout? Absolutely. Thanks for asking the question. So, uh, so the first and foremost is the obvious one, and that's like really feeling fatigue. Along with fatigue comes fogginess, like lack of clarity, like your brain's foggy. It's just not turning over, like it's not computing. So decision making is difficult. Remembering where you place something or put something or parked your car, like so short-term memory problems. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got, juvenile Alzheimer's or anything like that. It just means that your brain doesn't have the energy to run. And so you experience similar symptoms to a much older brain that has Alzheimer's, for example. Again, with much older brains, they don't have the energy they used to run either. So again, you just don't have the energy to run your brain properly. You'll feel that in your body too. So some of the symptoms in your digestion will be rattled. It will be, you feel like you're not digesting food properly. You could feel like nauseous or a bit sick or not feeling like you need to eat. Bowel motions will be all over the place. So you'll go through phases of constipation, phases of diarrhea. So they'll be switching and swinging and just never steady, like not in a steady state. You can feel like so we've got someone just joining. I'll just let them in. Yeah. So like other symptoms will be like you can actually lose the ability to sleep, for example. So insomnia can be a part of burnout, or the ability to the inability to fall asleep or the inability to stay asleep can be, associated with exhaustion and burnout. Withdrawing, so pulling away. So like you just don't have the energy to hang out with friends. So normally you'd put your hand up. Yeah, I'm keen. I want to go, I want to go out with you and let's go. You're just thinking, oh, I just don't have the energy to go out. And so you'll start saying no to social engagements, the things that you'd normally say yes to. So you'll start to withdraw. And That withdrawal starts to create a form of isolation. That isolation then creates this feeling of loneliness and lack of connection, because people, like, you're watching social media and you're seeing everyone else enjoying themselves and having a good time and they've got energy, and you're thinking, I just don't have the energy, I don't have good times anymore. And so you start to feel really disconnected to other people and disconnected to life in general. It coincides also with anxiety, depression. So I think a few people have just got the password. I'm not sure, but there's a few people that just joined us. So hi, thanks for joining. Really appreciate your time. Just letting you know, if you've just joined, I'm recording the session so you can get up to speed with the beginning of the webinar, but pretty much you just missed the introduction in terms of who I am, so you can catch up on it. But we're really just talking about the signs and symptoms of burnout, and it's just so that you can work out whether you're experiencing some of these signs and symptoms. And it's not like some of these signs and symptoms just happen, randomly, right? So, but it's not the randomness of it, it's more the consistency of these signs and symptoms over long periods of time is defined as burnout. It's not just like, I'm not feeling like exercising today, I'm really tired, I must be burnt out. It's not that. It's really like that, feeling that way for months. It could be half a year or a year. So it's feeling this way for long periods of time. So thank you for asking those questions. I hope that helps, to give you a picture of signs and symptoms. So there's certainly mental signs and symptoms, there's physical signs and symptoms, and the emotional signs of symptoms will be like unstable emotions. So very erratic. So you might feel good and then you feel crap for, long, and then you don't really have good periods of stability around your emotions. You might be more angry and aggressive, more upset or disappointed. So you'll experience the extremes of emotions and you'll struggle with the regulation of the emotions. And what you'll find is that your emotions will drive a lot of your behavior. So, when the emotions are all over the place, some of your behavior can be a bit all over the place. So yes, it affects you emotionally, affects you mentally, and affects you physically. I hope that answers your question there on signs and symptoms. So those that have just joined, we're about to get to the secrets of how to either prevent burnout or to come back from burnout, how to rebuild yourself and overcome burnout. Excuse me. I'm just going to the questions again. So there's a question here that says, can someone that is elderly and long time retired have burnt out? That's a good question. And yes. So what can happen, and I'll probably explain it a bit better as I'm going and sharing the secrets of how to overcome it and how to prevent it. But certainly a life of pleasing everyone else, a life of doing things for others and not doing, like, living a life that you wanted to live. You've lived a life of people pleasing and running around for others and doing work that others wanted you to do that you really didn't like doing. That can really drive, like, people wanting to retire quickly, and then just lose the zest for life. Because when you're people pleasing, what happens is that you actually lose your own identity. You start to lose yourself. And so if you're doing this for decades, then what can happen is that by the time you sort of come to retirement, you're thinking, who am I and what do I want? I don't know who I am, and I don't know what I like anymore because I've lived a life for everyone else. And so I think this is something that I find that burns a lot of people that are either approaching sort of the center point of life. I don't know what that is these days, but for me, it was sort of that 40s decade. It could be 50s for some people and it might be 30s for other people. I don't know. But anyway, so what I find is that sort of between 30s and 50s is people can still be doing a lot of people pleasing and they lose this, they get a loss of self and then they don't know who they are and they're struggling to find who they are. So I think that's the biggest one that can lead to early burnout or early, like onset of Alzheimer's, for example, or early onset of a chronic disease or early onset of cancer and some of these really, I guess, debilitating diseases. They manifest over decades, and they manifest when we're really just not looking after ourselves, in essence. And when we're people pleasing, we aren't looking after ourselves. We're putting everyone else first. So I've pretty much shared one of the key secrets, right? And I'm going to change the slide and I'll answer the rest of your question as I go through sharing the secrets to how to either prevent burnout or to pull yourself out of burnout. But before I get there, I've got to share a fundamental law. So this is a law of nature. And the law of natures aren't man created. We create laws and stuff like that. But this is a law of nature. It's a fundamental law that's been around since the origins of life. And I came across this when I studied chemical engineering. So it's been a big part of my life. And I want to share it with you because it really has helped me grasp life and how to live it to its fullest by embracing this first law of thermodynamics. And you don't need to get bamboozled by the terminology because it's quite simple. So what it's stating is that energy cannot be created or destroyed, okay? So we can't just create energy from nothing, right? Or we can't destroy anything. What happens with energy is it's just transformed from one form to another. And so what is happening with life is everything's in a state of transformation. So your body's undergoing a constant state of transformation. The environment around you is undergoing a constant state of transformation. And every person around you is undergoing a constant state of transformation. No one is standing still, not even the desk, not even the chair, right? So what this is saying is that everything is in essence moving. But why things appear to be stationary is just because our perception of time, right? And so it's not like that. So if it, like in actual fact, like your chair, if you did nothing to it and came back to it in 100 years, it wouldn't be in the same spot, right? So it's just that we can't perceive the motion or even perceive that it contains energy and it's actually vibrating. We just don't have those perceptions. But what I want you to take away from this is everything is in a constant state of flux. Everything is in a constant state of change. The problem we have today is that we don't understand this. And so what we're thinking is, why does everything have to change around me? Why can't things just be like they used to be? That's not life. Life is in a constant state of transformation. Your body is undergoing a constant state of transformation. So the cells that may have experienced trauma, whether it be a year ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, are no longer there. They've been replaced. But we can be stuck in that traumatic experience and still reliving it and reliving it in our body so that the current cells are reliving the trauma of the past. And so I just want you to realize this key fundamental around energy is that it cannot be created or it can't be destroyed. It is in a constant state of flux, in a constant state of change. And so everything around you and everything within you is changing. So the only constant in life is change. So one of the biggest tips I can give you is to learn to embrace change. Learn to embrace change in yourself and change in others around you and changes in the environment. And accept it as it is, because that's how we can stay present. It's when we wish it would be something different, is when it takes us to the future or the past and we lose energy to the future and past. But if we accept things and people for as they are, we stay present and we stay in a state of love and gratitude. And this is where we have unlimited energy. Unlimited energy. It's where we hold energy. We're not losing it to the past or we're not losing it to the future. It's all available there and then in the present if we stay present by accepting things as they are and not wishing they were something different. So this fundamental law turns into this equation. And don't be confused by this equation. It's really simple. So energy comes into your body, and we're going to talk about how it comes into your body, right? It leaves your body. And what doesn't leave your body stays in your body. So what we need to do in order to be in an abundance of energy, we just need to make sure that we're holding more energy in our body. We're not losing it. And that we're constantly gaining energy from around us. But we're not losing more energy outside, we're not losing it. So we're holding it within our body to embrace life, to live it to its fullest. And so this is the fundamental secret to preventing burnout and to getting out of burnout. And so I'm going to now share how can you apply this theory or this law, it's actually a law, into your life. How do you pragmatically accumulate more energy so that you're in a state of abundance of energy? Unstoppable force, right? Everyone wants to be an unstoppable force. So just for those that are just joined, I apologize if there was problems logging in. That was, I guess, a technology faux pas, and I am recording this webinar, so I'll share the recording. So you've just missed the first part of the webinar, which is the introduction, a bit about me, and then I've introduced the subject, what is burnout, what to look out for, and now what I'm introducing is the secrets of how to prevent it or how to get out of it. So yeah, this will be all available in a transcript, which will be summarized, and also in a video recording. So you haven't really missed anything. I just apologize for the frustration that you've had in joining the webinar. But as you know, technology seems to always challenge us. I'm always challenged by technology. So let me get this equation into how you can apply it to your everyday life. So energy in. How do we maximize the energy in? First and foremost is natural light. Natural light. And this is one of the things that I find that most people are avoiding, or they're just growing up having an indoor experience and they think life is an indoor experience. I can tell you it's far from the truth. We grew up without much shelter and we spent predominantly like 90% of our time in natural light. Today, we spend 90% of our time indoors and it's absolutely zapping us. So, for example, natural light is telling our body what to do at various times of the day. One of the ways we can lose energy is if we're not getting the right light signals into our body, because the body is doing the wrong things at the wrong time of the day. For example, if we're under blue lights, white lights in the evening, that is telling our body it's the middle of the day. But it's not the middle of the day. It's 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. at night. And so the body then starts doing the middle of the day type things. And what happens is that you're in the evening and you're wanting to wind down and go to sleep, but you can't because your body is in the middle of the day. And it's saying, no, you're not sleeping now. I've just pumped all this cortisol. So cortisol's our daytime hormone that enables us to achieve things. The body's just pumping it out when you're under artificial lights at 8 or 10 p.m. at night because it's that lighting is telling the body it must be at the middle of the day. So if we're getting the wrong signals from the light environment, then our body's doing the wrong things, hence why we might not be sleeping, hence why we wake up exhausted. And if we do this every night and we're not getting good sleep every night, then eventually fatigue's going to set in. Eventually burnout will set in, just simply because we've adapted or embraced this wrong lighting environment. So you probably can see I've got these funny looking glasses on. It's helping control the right amount of blue light into my eyes so that I'm not getting the wrong signal because I'm looking at a device. And so I actually change these shades depending on the time of the day. So this is the afternoon shade and this is my night shade, right? And so my night shade is blocking 100% of the blue light. Okay, and it's only allowing red light in, because you think about in the evening, as the sun's setting, it's predominantly red and orange light. And that sends a cue, a signal to our body, hey, time to start winding down, time to stop producing cortisol, time to start producing melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. Okay, and it takes our body a while to start producing enough melatonin to make us sleepy. But if we are surrounded by all the blue lights and looking at screens and watching devices and watching television, our body's just getting midday signals and it's just pumping out cortisol. And whilst it's pumping out cortisol, it's not pumping out melatonin. It's saying, no, you've got to stay awake. It's time to go out and do things. And this is why we can't sleep. This is fundamentally why we're not being able, we can't fall asleep and we can't stay asleep, because we've stuffed up the light environment. So if you were to take anything away from this webinar today, one of the fundamentals to getting energy back is to get your body doing the right things at the right time of the day. And the only way you can do that is through getting the right light signals. So if you work indoors, you can still achieve this. All I want you to do, every 5 minutes, I want you to step outside. Step outside and feel the light. Experience the light on your skin for 5 minutes every hour. If you can't do 5 minutes every hour, do 10 minutes every 2 hours. If you can't do it every 2 hours, do at least 15 minutes every 4 hours. And we want to be doing it at least morning, midday, and evening, just to keep our body in sync so it's doing the right things at the right time of the day. The other thing we want to do is we don't want to, first thing, look at our phone first thing in the morning and start doom scrolling. What is that doing? The doom scrolling is telling your body that you've woken up in the middle of the day. And this is why you're sort of all groggy and you just smashed, because the body's hit from nowhere. It's gone from slumber to the middle of the day. That doesn't happen in nature. We get woken up gradually, and the light intensity gradually builds through the day. We're not used to getting smacked by midday sun first thing in the morning. And this is why you're just all over the place and thinking, I'm shot. Because your body is all over the place. It doesn't know what to do. If you're having blood sugar problems, blood sugar regulation, you're constantly craving sugar, a lot of that is to do with poor lighting environment. Poor lighting environment. So in order to get your blood sugar better regulated, we need to get you outside more often, more frequently. And what I'm not telling you to do is do it like go out and sunbake in the midday sun for 5 hours. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we need to gradually increase our sun exposure over time and do it based on our skin type. Those that are fairer skin don't need as much sunlight. Those that are darker skin need a lot more sunlight. I'm just going to go to the questions because I'm sure there's there's 2 new ones. Okay, so someone has shared, and this is in relation to the body and it's how it can store trauma, but they also have abuse and trauma that happened to them at a time when they were young, and also no control over it either. Yes, I totally agree with you, Tanya, and I'm not dismissing it, and I'm not saying that you can just get over it, but there's a process that we need to go through in terms of neurologically rewiring our brains so that we don't constantly get stuck in the past and we're reliving the past and our body is physically in the past in terms of reliving that experience. And when it does, it's constantly aging. So if we allow ourselves to get stuck in the past and we're not neurologically rewiring our brain, which is not easy, done. It takes process and it takes time, but we have the ability to rewire and to rewire how we think and to think differently. We have that ability. And so if you or someone you know is sort of struggling with this, then I suggest you reach out for help, because there is help available that can really help you move forward. Because if you're carrying trauma or hurt or abuse from the past, it's wearing you down. It's like baggage. It is absolutely heavy baggage that you don't want, that just feels like it's overwhelming you every day. And in order to get rid of that baggage, you want to get the right sort of help to let that baggage go and to allow you to move forward and thrive. And so it's a key. It's a key to getting out of a constant state of fatigue, a constant state of physical exhaustion, a constant state of a mental exhaustion, and a constant state of emotional exhaustion, is that you need to get the trauma dealt with. Thank you for that question. Someone has shared, if I'm indoors all day but close to full length windows that face the afternoon and evening sun, am I still getting the right type of light signals? Okay, good question. I'm going to answer that first. So really interesting, right? So they actually did a study in a mental health facility. So these people, had suicidal attempts, suicidal ideology, struggling with deep depression, struggling with trauma and abuse. So they were in a mental faculty, right? And what they found was that the people that were just assigned to northeast windows compared to those that were assigned to southeast windows, the ones that were in the northeast windows got out of the mental faculty. Everyone received the same treatment, the same care, the same food, the same routine. Everyone got the same help. But those that were in the northeast facing windows were out twice as quickly than those in the southeast, simply because of the light environment. Those facing northeast were getting the morning, evening sun and constant more sun throughout the day. Those in the southeast were getting very little sun exposure. So yes, it helps. Now, the problem with the windows today is that any type of window will block out UV. UV is necessary, right? We need UV. We cannot live without UV light. And this is part of the problem that's driving a lot of disease, and particularly neurological disease, is that we're living a life absent of UV light. So UV won't be coming through the windows, and UV isn't all bad. Excessive UV light isn't healthy. Moderate amounts of UV light is very healthy. It's fundamentally healthy and fundamentally a necessity, a fundamental necessity in order to produce neurotransmitters, in order to enable your body to function as it should. Yes. So the other one is that some of the windows today are blocking out a lot of the infrared light, right? And the infrared light is the heat, right? And they do this because they don't want to use as much power in the building. They don't want to be running the air conditioning as hard. And so they block out a lot of the heat. But that infrared light is essential for your lymphatic system and getting out waste products. It's essential for digestion. It's essential for your cerebral spinal fluid. So getting out the waste products out of your brain. And so your brain doesn't build up toxic waste. And that's associated with Alzheimer's, is the accumulation of toxic waste. Beta amyloid plaques, to be precise, in the brain is associated with Alzheimer's. You get a constant flush and clean out of your fluid when you're exposed to regular infrared light. So infrared light is the heat from the sun, and you lose it through the glass. So it's helpful to be right near a full screen window. Absolutely. I'd love if you can to turn off the LED lights above you, if that's possible. I don't know if your colleagues will like it, but if you can, turn off all LED lights, just so that you're just getting that natural light through the window. And then make sure you're checking in with the sun to get a bit of UV exposure and to get some infrared exposure. And the next part of the question is, and even if I am, is that I'm affected. Oh yeah, okay, on my laptop for a good part of the day. Does it mean the light will have to be directly on my skin? Okay, so infrared light. So when we're outside, we'll absorb infrared light and red light and orange light through our clothing because it's long wavelength. A long wavelength can penetrate through clothing. However, UV is a short wavelength, high energy intensity, but short wavelength, and it cannot penetrate through clothing. So, well, it does a bit, but not, most of it's blocked out. So when you're outside, what I suggest you do, and you can only you want to do this so you're private and confidential as well, is maximize skin exposure to the degree that you can, and take off sunglasses. Right? So I don't wear any sunglasses when I'm outside. The only time I wear glasses, these are blocking some of the excess blue light. The only time I wear glasses is when I'm in front of devices. Okay, so when I'm outside, I get 100% sun, visible light and invisible light exposure. And we need that. And we need the right light signal. So we want a matching light signal. The matching light signal that's going through our retina is the same light signal our skin is receiving. When it's matching, our body's coherent and doing the right things at the right time of the day. When you've got sunglasses on and your skin's getting a different sunlight, the body gets totally confused. It's going, it's low light intensity. It must be nighttime, but I'm getting midday sun on my skin. What do I do? If your body's getting midday sun through the eyes, midday sun through the skin, it starts to produce melanin, and melanin protects your skin from burning. But if we're not getting coherent light signals, it doesn't produce the right amounts of melanin to protect yourself from excessive UV exposure. Our body has got UV protection if we do our light exposure right. The problem today is that we spend all our time indoors. The minute we see some sun, we go out there midday and we just lie in it. That is not doing sun safely. Doing sun safely is getting morning sun exposure so that you can start producing melanin that will then protect you from the midday harsh UV rays. Excessive exposure. We do need UV. UV light makes vitamin D. We need UV light to be above 3. UV 3 and above, we start making vitamin D. I've only got to the first point, right? So I've had a lot of talk on sun, but sun is a lot of what I see my clients getting wrong. They're not getting enough, and they're getting the wrong lighting signals, which is causing hormonal imbalances, causing weight gain, causing mental health problems. Incorrect sunlight, incorrect lighting is causing it increases all-cause mortality. It increases blood sugar dysregulation, which causes type 2 diabetes. It increases cholesterol mismanagement problems. It will cause all problems if we're getting the wrong light environment, because the body's doing the wrong things at the wrong time of not at the doing the wrong things at that time of day. Earthing. So what is earthing? Earthing is connected with nature. You think about our lives today, they're very disconnected from nature. The top 2 here is reconnecting with nature. So in order to get more energy into your body, spend more time in nature. When you're in a park, walk around barefoot. If you're down the beach, it's easy to walk around barefoot, right? But it's really engaging your skin with nature. So pick up leaves, touch leaves, cuddle trees. The more we embrace nature, the more energy we gain. Okay, it's a fact. There's scientific proof that we gain energy from the natural environment. Number three is food. So obviously, food helps us generate energy. But we want to be eating seasonal food, because if we're eating food out of season or eating food from other countries, we're telling the body a miss signal. Because what the plant does is undergo photosynthesis. That is, it uses light to create life within it. And we eat the plant, which is a life form. And that life form has a light signature. And our body will read the light signature in that food. And if it's coming from the US, which is in winter, and we're in summer, there's a mismatch. The body's going, hey, I'm getting a signal on my skin that's telling me that you're in summer, but the food you're eating is winter. And so the body gets confused. So if you want to minimize hormonal dysregulation or blood sugar dysregulation, make sure you're eating seasonal food. Food from your local area that has a similar light signature to the outdoor light environment. Your people. So this is connection with others. We get energy through hanging out with the right people. So this is not hanging out with people that we just don't connect with or we're struggling to connect with. This is hanging out with people that you have a strong connection with, that have your back, that support you. It's investing time in those people, and hanging out with those people more will bring you energy. If you hang out in an environment that doesn't resonate with you, then either leave that job and go to a culture that resonates with who you are, that embraces you for who you are. Because if you feel like a misfit in that environment, it'll be a constant energy drain. So make sure you're hanging out all the time with your people. I've got nature again. So don't forget hanging out with nature. So hang out with your people in nature. So go into the park and have lunch with someone. Go to the park on weekends and play with your children. Go to the beach with your children. Go to the beach with your loved one. Hang out in natural places with your people. Go for walk and talks. Get out of the building. Stop like if you're there in person in a meeting room, go, hey, we're all here. There's no one dialing in or whatever. Let's get outside and let's go for a walk around the park and discuss business, right? Discuss whatever you want to discuss. Start doing more of your phone conversations outdoors walking. That way you're outdoors getting the right light environment and you're moving your body. So you can start stacking some of these habits and start bringing more energy in. Lastly, but one of the most important I've got here is living by your values and living a life by priority, right? Based on what's important to you. So I touched on just before that a lot of our energy is lost through people pleasing. We're doing things to please others and not doing anything to look after ourselves and what pleases us. Fundamentally, in order to generate more energy, you need to be living a life of purpose. The only way you can live a life of purpose is be you and allow you to shine, and allowing your best self to be showcased to the world. And that's living authentically to who you are, not being everyone to everyone else, or trying to be everything to everyone. I don't know what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. So live a life of you. By you being your best self, you resonate the best energy, you attract the right people, and the people you want in your life will be like a magnetically pulled towards you. If you're just constantly people pleasing and don't know who you are, then you attract the wrong people. You do, because they want you to do things. This person will do it for me. They never say no. They say yes to everything. I'll just ask them. And so you attract all these people that you don't want in your life because you're not being you. Only you can define your boundaries. And the way you start doing this is start saying no to the things that aren't you. So if someone asks you to do something and that is not you, say no. They can go and find someone else that likes doing it. And so start defining you by start creating the boundaries. And you start creating the boundaries by prioritizing your day of what's most important to you. And when you're doing that, you start to thrive. You start to attract the right things, the right people into your life, and you'll start to live a life of fulfillment. And the people around you will start thriving because they're the right people. And the other thing is when people know who you are, they actually develop a deeper connection. Because before, when you're trying to be everyone, everything to everyone else, they don't know who you are. But when you define you, they start to realize who the true you is, and they can start to deeply connect with you. But when you're trying to be everyone else, they don't know who you are. You're Arthur Martha, I don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. Okay, I've got some questions to answer. Just hang in there. I'll get back to the rest of the webinar. But anyway, I'll probably finish in the next 5-10 minutes. So if you need to leave, just come back to the recording and watch the last 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so there's a question here. What about attracting love? Not always true what you are saying. Sorry. Okay, so it depends about your definition of love, right? So people have a condition around love, but true love is unconditional. And so some people can think, well, if you do this for me, it means you love me. But that means you've put a condition around love. Love doesn't have any boundaries. Love is boundaryless. It's infinite and it's unconditional. It cannot be boxed. There's no rigid definition around love. Look it up. Look up the definition of love. It is so broad. It isn't funny. So in terms of love, ultimately, love comes from knowing who you are, loving everything about you, and then seeing you in others, everything about you in others, and then you love everyone around you and everything. Ultimate love is loving you, loving everyone, and loving everything. Love has no judgment. So if we are judging someone else, we're judging a part of us that we haven't loved. And what you're seeing is a reflection of you. So if you keep running into someone that you think, why are they still in my life? It's because there's a part of you you haven't loved, and they're just reminding you of that, and you're projecting that onto them. It's got nothing to do with them. It's got everything to do that you haven't loved everything about you, and you haven't embraced the whole you. When you embrace the whole you, then you'll see you in everything and everyone around you. And you'll have this deepest connection with all things. And ultimately, we start life and we see this world in fragments and bits and pieces. But the ultimate aim of life is to bring everything together as one, right? And the ultimate journey is about the integration of self, loving everything about you, and then the integration of you with the rest of the world, so that you see everything as interconnected and everything as one. I know it's a long answer to your question. And your follow-up question was, depends on the person. So ultimately, the people that you're disconnected with is a part of you that you haven't loved. If you learn to love that part of you, you don't see that in others. Once you've loved it in you, you don't see it in others anymore. You just see you. So I know this is quite heavy and in depth, but it might be just sowing the seed. And often, like if I look at my life, I've learnt things and I might not have applied it or even understood it at the time, but a decade later or 2 decades later, I've run into someone else that said it in a different way, or I was just ready to receive that information and it resonated. So if I'm not resonating, then I'm just sowing a seed. Then eventually, at some point in your life, the penny will drop and you'll think, oh, that's what Anthony was talking about, because I'm so ready to receive that information. So, as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I might not be appearing at the right time in your life. So, but I'm comfortable with that because it's happened on my journey. Okay, so someone's sharing, it's all ringing true to me. I love the way you're describing things, Anthony. It's good. That means obviously you're connecting me at the right time, and everything's sort of coming together for you. But everyone's on a different journey. So this may not really, it might be too far-fetched, but eventually you'll start pulling together the pieces yourself and integrating everything. So I don't want to leave it here because I want to talk about losing energy. And I have touched on this. So obviously, us in the wrong light environment is going to cause energy loss because we'll cause dysregulation in the body. The body's doing the wrong things at the wrong time of the day. We're not resting at night. We're not sleeping at night. We're tired during the day. We're awake at night. So if that's you, if you're tired during the day, awake at night, it means you're out of the circadian rhythm, which is the night-day cycle. So in order to get back in the circadian rhythm, what I suggest you do is start watching sunrise, and that will get you in sync with the night-day cycle. The second one is processed foods. Obviously, with processed foods, all the life's stripped out of them. Everything's stripped out of them. They're basically naked. Nothing left in them really other than, I guess, carbohydrates and pretty much carbohydrates, right? So, and what that will do is give you a pickup initially. You'll get a buzz initially, but then you'll get this drop. And then you'll look for the next bit of processed food to give you a bit of a hit, but then you'll experience a drop. And you'll go through this cycle, constant highs, lows throughout the day. If you're eating seasonal food that's closest to the source, then you'll have steady energy all throughout the day. We get a natural dip in the mid-afternoon. So if you're dipping mid-afternoon, don't fight it. That's natural. So it's natural to dip mid-afternoon. It's not time to have a coffee. What I suggest you do, if you need to keep going mid-afternoon and you can't have a mid-afternoon siesta or nap, is that you get outside and go for a walk. And that will just pick you up a little bit just to get you through the evening. But don't have a coffee. Don't have more caffeine because caffeine has a long half-life. And what I mean, it takes a long time for it to get out of the system. And so if you have a coffee in the afternoon, it will be affecting you at 10 p.m. at night. Some people, it doesn't because they have a lot of the enzyme that breaks down caffeine. But if you don't have the enzyme or lots of the enzyme that breaks down caffeine, you'll be wide awake at 10 p.m. at night. Okay, the wrong people. But again, this is a journey. So for me, I learn a lot about myself when people make me emotional, because what it's doing is reminding me something about me that I've done that I haven't loved. And so what I do is if I get frustrated about someone doing something, so whatever act it is, so just say they cut me off in traffic, right? And I think, oh, that's horrible. How dare you do that? You could have smashed my car, or you could have could have made me have an accident, all this sort of stuff. But what I do in order to get myself present and get myself back, because if you let that frustrate you, you then drive like an idiot because you're all emotional and the day just gets out of control. But in order to regulate your nervous system, a way you can get back to be present is own what they've just done to you and understand that you do it just as much as other people do it to you. Because everything we judge another person for is something that we've judged in ourselves that we haven't loved in ourselves. We haven't seen the benefit, or we haven't found the benefit to doing that, or we just haven't owned that action. we just think it's bad, and it just reminds you of when you did it, and therefore you feel crap. But in order to move on from that, what we got to do is see how it serves you and others in doing that. What do we learn from it? And so if you're constantly looking for, like, if you're ultimately, we want to be transforming at the rate of transformation around us, right? That is helpful because we're in sync. We're in a state of flow. When we're becoming stuck, it's because we're resisting the change around us or the change within us. So some people get stuck with aging, right? And they think, why can't I just be young? And they get frustrated because their body's not the same as it used to be. But they're not embracing the wholeness in who they are in that moment. There are benefits of being that age and having that body. You're just not looking for it and you're not connecting with it. If you connect with the benefits, you'll get detached from living in the past and you'll be attached to the present and you'll keep the energy within you. If we're constantly doing things that aren't important to us, then we lose energy. So I make sure I design my day every day that I'm doing the things that bring me energy. So you've probably seen that I have quite a bit of energy giving a masterclass. It's because I love doing this. And I could go for another 2 more hours, but I appreciate your time and understand that you don't have two hours to give me, right? I actually lose track of time when I'm doing this because I'm in the moment. I'm totally present. Hence why I've gone over time. I get too carried away. I want to share everything. So I need to move on. But I design each day as if it's my last. If this was my last day on earth, I would love to be giving this webinar or this presentation to you because I'm passing on my knowledge. I'm passing on my wisdom and I'm hoping something sits with you that you can then pass that on to someone else, whether it be your children, your loved ones, and it has this ripple effect. So every day I just want to have some sort of ripple effect on someone or something. It could be doing something in the natural environment in terms of looking after it. It could be doing something for someone I don't know. It could be just sharing, educating others. It could be giving a smile to someone I don't know, but I just want to smile to them because I want them to feel a connection with someone. And so I'll just go about doing every day as if it's my last because I don't know when my last day will be. But I live every day as if it's my last, so I live every day by priority. I spend time with the people I want to spend time with. I do the things that I want to do. I've talked a lot about living in the past and future. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. And so the ultimate way to accumulate energy is by staying present. And the only way we can stay present is by living the moment, by not fast forwarding and wishing things were different and they could be some fantasy or, trying to bring back the past, right? The only thing you can control is your actions in the moment. So in order to create the future that you want to create, you want to direct the energy to the moment and think, what's going to take me closer towards what I want? What can I do next? So my mission in life is to enhance and enlighten the well-being of others. So doing this masterclass helps me enhance and enlighten the well-being of others. So I'm staying on mission, right? And so this is fulfilling for me because I'm living by priority. This is a life by design. I love learning about health and I love sharing that with others. And so I'll continue to do that. And I'll do that every day. Now, I've got so much more to share. And you've probably got a lot more questions to ask me. There's a free opportunity to spend some time with me. Doesn't cost anything, but I can answer your personal questions. I can answer the questions that you wanted to ask, but you didn't feel comfortable asking them. Or you can challenge me. I love that I actually got that challenge in the comments because I grow from every challenge. And I learn something from every challenge. I either learn a better way of articulating what I know, or you teach me something. So I'm in a constant state of growth and transformation. So I can learn just
Not many people do know that, Anthony, because like you and I are two different kettle of fish, right? I just had to take a phone call while you were talking about it. Just say, I look back at that when I fully, see it. In my, as a person with a lived experience as a disability and mental health advocate, it also depending on the individual person's level of capacity, because I can understand how what burnout happens. It does happen to me in the past, and everything, that things when don't go right, I just have my favourite thing is like have a good cry and go to bed and have a just knock myself out, just like I stay home for a couple of days until I'm ready to put my big girl pants back on and do what I need to do. Because even though we got a small group today, but we also have a different level of capacity. But then we all go also to work out what's right for us. Even for me, because like someone at my level of capacity too, I only died twice my first 3 months of life. So I'm not meant to be here. At least there's, at least there's those of you to talk, but at least we've got a small group that can, we can learn in our own way. I had to learn my own way how to cope with everyday life. But it's also the voices and the tone of other people that can put me back where I don't want to be. And that's something I can't control.
I totally hear you, Tanya, and I appreciate you being so open and honest. And absolutely, you're right. Life is a, you know, it's a personal journey, and every person is completely different and has had a unique or different upbringing to others. We have different education. We have, different access to money or, things that we can, I guess wealth, for example, monetary wealth. So everyone's in a unique situation. Absolutely. Everyone has a unique goal in not everyone's like me. There's others that don't like health. There's others that are complete opposite to me that have such a low value on health and they have a higher value on something else. And so everyone's unique and different, and I totally respect that. Everyone has a unique and different objective. Everyone has a unique and different experience, and it's all about you just incrementally improving. So it's what can I do today that will take me closer to where I want to be or to what I want to achieve. And it's all about just doing those small incremental steps towards what's most fulfilling to you. Obviously, you're a big mental health advocate, and so you're constantly learning about mental health. And so today's taking you closer to what's important to you. Because you're an advocate of mental health, you're constantly seeking information on mental health, and therefore you're building your knowledge on mental health and you're getting it from different perspectives. I might have shared a perspective today you might not have heard of, but I'm sharing my perspective, which could be different to someone else that you go and hear about mental health. They'll come from their perspective. And so what you're doing is ultimately taking what resonates with you from each person and then building up your depository of mental health, which will then resonate with a certain group of people. So what the message I share doesn't resonate with everyone. Some people don't agree. Some people are looking for different information, and so I don't connect with everyone. But the people I do, they go on a journey with me because I'm the right person at the right time. But then eventually I'm not anymore. And they start following someone else, they start getting different information, but everyone's going on this unique journey themselves. So I totally understand where you're coming from, Tanya, and agree that everyone's on a unique journey. There's a question that says you can also do this in your imagination watching sunrise. Absolutely. So interesting. That's a really interesting comment. I haven't actually thought about it. I'm a deep thinker. I think you've triggered something in me, and I want to think more about it before I respond. Because we can vividly imagine a sunrise and then have that experience in our body, and we can start producing the neurotransmitters and the chemicals associated with the sunrise by imagining it. The only thing that so it would work occasionally when you can't see it physically. I think over time, like if you were to do that forever, there'd be a disconnection with, like, so light is life, right? And without light, there's no life. And so we can't totally disconnect from light. We need it to live life. And so I sort of I understand what you're saying, and I think if you can't always see a sunrise, and we can't all the time, we can imagine it, but it won't work forever. We would become very disconnected with the life, the fundamental life source. So yes, works temporary and short term, but something that you couldn't do forever. That's my take. Thank you everyone for attending. You can scan the QR code and book some time with me. I need to go because I've got thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate that. I'm going to give it a love. Lots of love to you. Love to everyone, regardless of whether you connected with me or not. I'm sending my love, and I'm hoping that something has sat with you today. If you want to discuss something in more detail, please scan this QR code. You can book some time with me, or you can give my mobiles here. I'm not hiding. I'm not running away. This is my personal mobile, and you have my personal email address. So there's no escape for me. I'm here to serve, and I'm happy to help you initiate your journey. So thank you once again. Really appreciate your attendance and participation. I wish you all the best in your journeys. And until next time, well, if it might not be a next time, but just look after yourselves, and just sending all my love. And I'm wishing you all the best with life ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. See you. And I will rewatch the thing. I need to take some phone calls. That's all.
No worries, Tanya. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your participation. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I have to go for washing on the line before this. So.
Okay, that's okay, Tanya. You take care. Great to have you, and yeah, thank you.